Hello, everybody. Welcome to What the Frick Live. It's Emily and Will tonight. So good to be
Hey,
back. Will,
good evening.
good evening. Missing 1 week
Mhm.
on a Friday night seems like it takes forever to get
I know.
back to
I
it.
know. Yeah, it does. I mean, it's like you know, not going to gym for 1 week and then going back after that. You know what I mean? You just miss it,
Or
and you're
not.
just like, oh, okay. All right.
Eddie Moore's tuning in on YouTube. Please, everybody,
What's up,
please go over
Eddie?
to YouTube. I hardly ever market YouTube. Will knows that now, but I started
Mhm.
marketing YouTube this past week. So please, if you're listening via podcast eventually here, please go to What the Frick Live podcast on
Please,
YouTube. Subscribe over there. Emily is banned from Facebook for 90 days over the
bad
summer.
girl. Oh my gosh,
I
Emily,
don't know.
you
I don't
have like the
understand.
worst luck when it
It,
comes to your
well,
Facebook account.
well, I was born on Friday the 13th,
Hmm.
but this time was not my fault.
No, it wasn't your fault.
So
Definitely not.
I
Your
got
account
hacked.
was hacked. Yeah.
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 I had really bad, links sent out to people, and here's the interesting thing, this time, they didn't send it to, like, my top 20 people that I talk to on a daily basis in Messenger. They
But
sent
it
it
just
to
sent it to
people
a
I
random.
haven't like, talked to ever on Messenger and stuff. So,
Right.
I'm sure they were trying to get information or have them click on there, hack their computers and stuff. So, I'm sorry anybody that clicked on that, but it took me a day to recover my account, but then
Jeez.
I appealed it, and Facebook stood by their decision to have my account banned for 90 days on Facebook. So,
Right.
I don't
Which
know.
makes no sense. If you look at the core topic of the whole page, it's about conspiracy theory and
Yeah,
paranormal stuff, right?
yeah,
What
mhm.
the hell does that have to do with whatever happened? You know what they were promoting, right? Nothing.
It
Zero.
nothing. So I
You
am
know?
working on a fake account. Last night, Brent from Appalachia Unknown is helping me with it, but I have to actually set up a whole page on Facebook with information and everything on it before it gives me admin uh, permission
Privileges. Yeah.
on the page. So I'm going to work on that this weekend, and maybe we'll be back up on Facebook next week. But I highly doubt it. I'm just sick of Facebook now.
Yeah.
So everybody, please Rumble. Absolutely go. I market Rumble all the time and YouTube. Please go over there and subscribe to us. Appreciate it very much. So Will Martinez, what's going over there at Dark Fringe Radio?
Tomorrow we'll have a new episode coming out at Dark Fringe Radio. You can check it out, darkfringeradio.com. But excuse me, this week we have a new episode. We're going to be talking about the dark side of televangelism. So we're going to be focusing on two particular sets of individuals. First, the Bakers, Jim and Tammy Lynn Baker, very famous televangelists from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And then also we'll be focusing on Benny Hinn, which, if you guys don't know who he is, I'm sure you guys have seen videos of this crazy looking
Super.
Indian guy hitting people with his jacket and, people falling back. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about him and just like the whole, treachery behind the practice of what they're doing. So yeah, you can check that out, darkfringeradio.com. That'll be out tomorrow. So you'll see that. And that's a really interesting episode.
Well, I was raised up in that evangelistic era
Mhm.
and went to
I
Bible
know.
college, and they're
Yeah.
all demons. They're all demons. Kenneth Copeland. Are you talking about Kenneth Copeland at all?
Oh no, I wanted to
Oh,
talk about him. We just didn't have enough time because
oh well,
we went
Kenneth
over.
Copeland.
We went over time just talking about the Bakers and Benny Hinn because they just have so much history, But
Joy
getting to Copeland, you could do a whole episode on him.
Yeah, oh yeah, Joyce Meyer, Jesse Duplantis, all that whole crowd, like, they all
Yeah,
mingle together too, so birds of a feather flock together. They've been
that's what
doing
they
this stuff
say.
for a very long time. And I'm glad you're
Mhm.
doing an episode on that. I'll definitely put that on my list, to hear, and that comes out tomorrow?
That'll be out tomorrow. Darkfringeradio.com.
Well, we are gonna be talking about another topic this evening that rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and, uh especially since all this P. Diddy stuff has come out, it's kinda resurfaced a little bit, plus his birthday's coming up. June 16th is Tupac's birthday.
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar dropped
Yeah.
a song the other day, 616.
Mhm.
He's throwing some stuff out at Drake. He's throwing Drake under the cover. This whole thing is
Drake
crumbling,
had a
but,
bodyguard got shot at at the mansion. So it's crazy. A lot of
I
crazy stuff
know.
going on right now.
I know, and we have a really great guest. I'm gonna bring him on in a second. Ignacio Esteban, he is a retired special agent from the ATF within the United States Department of Justice. He's special agent in Miami and Tampa field divisions. He's done all kinds of cases. He's worked with Mexican cartels, gangsters, you name it. He was on the Contraband Enforcement Team. We're gonna have him come on after this. I'm gonna play this quick video because who spills the tea most? Who do I trust most in this whole big circle? Who do you trust? Do you trust any of these people that are kind of whistleblowers?
In what, in the Tupac
It,
case, or are you talking
well,
which one?
just in
The
the
P Diddy one.
R&B, the rap group, the rap.
Uh,
I'll just say
that's a
Black
whole.
community.
Yeah, you know what? It's a whole. There's a lot of different facets to that. There's media that's involved with that as well. So the media has a lot to do with perpetuating certain things that are out there. And then there's a lot of, unfortunately, not cooperation between each other in the Black community. So you see a lot of that downfall because of that, and that happens to the rap community and R&B and all that stuff. So
Mm.
it's always like a us against them kind of thing mentality, and that never resolves to anything positive. So again, I think what you have there's multifacets of reasons why I think that went the way it did.
Well, we may get into that, who actually owns the prisons and private prisons of the United
I
States
did
when
a
it
whole
comes
episode of that.
to
Yeah.
record, yeah. But the
Yeah.
person I trust the most is Ice Cube and Cat Williams. Let's see what Cat Williams says about Tupac, and we'll have Ignacio on after this video. It's a short clip. Here we go.
The reports that this was gang related, that these were two gang members that thought they did it in spite of Tupac.
If it was gang related, then why didn't it happen thoroughly? You see, there's parts of this story that just don't seem to make sense.
Right.
You're saying it was gang related, so that means somebody's gang was shooting at somebody's gang, and then somebody's gang didn't shoot back. That's your story? That's not really how gang stuff works, is it?
Do you have any idea who shot Suge?
I'm pretty sure Suge knows who shot Suge.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So when he comes out of sedation, I'm sure anybody who gets shot will tell you who shot them, right?
yeah.
But if the police say nobody shot him, I believe nobody shot him. And if nobody shot him, that's the same nobody that shot Tupac. And if nobody shot Tupac, it's the same nobody that shot MLK. And if nobody shot him, that's the same person that shot Malcolm X too. It's a lot of nobodies out there, and nobody minds if nobody comes up missing, right?
Cat Williams there.
Ignacio.
I love him.
Hey, what's interesting?
Ignacio.
Where'd you find that video from, man? He's an interesting character.
Oh,
Yeah,
Cat
Cat.
Williams. I love Cat Williams. He has been
Yeah.
speaking truth bombs for many, many years. He's a comedian, but
Okay.
they all in circles. But he did a big, huge interview a few months back, and he goes on, and he's been on Joe Rogan and everything.
Okay.
And I love him. And he got blackballed a long time ago because he was speaking the truth. But I trust Cat Williams and I trust Ice Cube.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Um,
Dead men tell no tales. That's the problem there. Tupac can't say
Yeah.
anything. He's done there. And of course, you talk about MLK, Malcolm X, and the list of the conspiracy theory going on and on and on. So it's interesting theory he has there. But I can't believe 26 years later, 20, this is mind blowing. You don't see it too often. Cold case like this, and such a big celebrity Tupac was, right? They finally make an arrest, and shocking. As long as it took so much, I think you saw a lot of incompetency, a lot of things that should have done faster, miscommunication between different municipalities, federal, state, local, Compton Police Department, LA, the sheriff's office. Then you have the Las Vegas Police Department, the authorities there. Things were dropped a lot, and I don't know how much people know the circumstances that day and what happened, but if you look at the video, that's why I wrote the book, Bloods, Crips, and the Murder of Tupac Shakur. It's a short read, but then I added to different books here, and I was also fascinated. I remember back in the 90s, I was with Customs then, and you're scratching your head how that happened in Las Vegas and in the middle everywhere. I mean, everybody's watching all the cameras, right? Even then, they had tons of cameras in the 90s. And they couldn't figure out what happened, right? What happened there? That was unbelievable. At the end, Kiffy D, Dwayne Davis gets arrested, and pretty much. And I'll walk you through the events of the day. He puts himself in jeopardy by running his mouth.
Yeah, Ignacio, I want to jump in real quick. You
Yeah.
mentioning that he did a bunch of interviews. He
Oh my
was on
God.
DJ Vlad. He was on some pretty, high prestigious type of, characters on YouTube. And he was just running his mouth recklessly. And do you
Recklessly.
think recklessly? I mean, it was almost like he was wanting to get caught. I mean, is it true? I mean, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's also a rumor saying that he had made a deal where he could basically talk about it
Yeah.
and
So
not be prosecuted for it. So
yeah, he had a
is
proffer
that
session.
true?
He had
Yes,
a
please.
I read about it in I looked at research in the book. He had a proffer session in 2008. I guess it was a task force that was set up to actually solve the murder of a Biggie, right? Christopher
Right.
Wallace, Biggie Smalls, right? Because he would be killed a few months later in '97 in similar fashion as Tupac was. Vehicle pulls up, it's dark at night, they light up, two Suburbans. A lot of people think Suge might have been behind that one, trying to
think
get
it was
his
P. Diddy.
rival killed. And the actual target was Sean Combs, P. Diddy, who was in the other Suburban behind a Biggie. So,
think-
interesting. Yeah.
I think P. Diddy had big shot because he was leaving Bad Boys and he had like 2 weeks left, and P. Diddy's made more money off Biggie in his death, and he's been dead longer now since he was survived, and
Mhm,
what they
mhm.
say
He died when he
in
was
the
25.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I think he's been
both
dead
these guys died in their 20s.
26
Very
yeah,
tragic.
26,
Yeah.
27 years ago now, so he's been dead longer, and Biggie has made more money off Biggie, or P. Diddy has made more
P.
money
Diddy.
off P. Diddy,
Yeah.
off Biggie, in his
And
death.
talking about P. Diddy, he's in some legal jeopardy now himself.
Yeah.
He's been all over. Him and his son have been all over the news. HSI. I mean, this is a big deal. I've done a lot of search warrants in my career, and you have to have probable cause to find evidence in a residence, especially of a celebrity of his name that big. You have to have a lot to say. There is going to be evidence in the residence in Miami and LA for them to have such a huge team to go in there, and they retrieved a lot of things. So, evidence, in other words, for possible human trafficking, underage sex, underage trafficking. There's a lot of things. And 50 Cent said it best. Once you settle one, here they come. You settle one already. They're all coming out of the woodworks. And the stories that are coming out are pretty much shocking. I'm just surprised that, in my opinion, why was J-Lo with this guy for so long?
Yeah.
Oh, she was the gun runner. She was the gun runner in that shooting in New York City.
Yeah, allegedly.
She hid the gun.
No,
Yeah.
that's in the documents. I read all the documents, got all the court documents for the P. Diddy case. I call her the gun runner. Like,
I just felt like, especially her reputation is so different now, and it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on with him, and they think P. Diddy, and before Tupac died in '96, was killed by the crew that Davis had. It was Orlando Anderson, according to Davis, was the one who was the triggerman. And I'll give a little background here how this all came about, in case your audience doesn't really know what's happening here. And this starts with the Mike Tyson fight, right? MGM Grand,
Las Vegas,
MGM Grand, 1996, September 7th. It's a huge fight, Tyson style. He knocks out his opponent early, and you just look at all the videos. That's what I did in my book. I just looked at it's all there. I went through all the different videos, and Tupac looks like he's really pumped. You can see the videos after the fight. He is jacked up. He just saw a Tyson fight. He is running around. He's pumped, and he's with his crew, with Suge. And these guys, they want street creds. Remember, Tupac wasn't that kind of guy. He wasn't raised in the streets. His mother, his family were actually Black Panther militants, Black Panther movement, right? And they were involved. His mother was actually tried for being part of this group when she was like 9 months pregnant with Tupac. And she thought she would have to get baby with him incarcerated, but she was acquitted. She was acquitted, which is shocking. And they moved around. They went to Baltimore, and he went to a very nice school of the arts. And that's exposed him to dance, to theater, and a lot of things. And he'd be a talent in his own right. I mean, he was a good actor. A lot of people liked his movies he did during the time he did it. He liked his shows and everything else. It was a tragedy how he died, how he ended. But these guys associate themselves with the Mob Pyrus. The Mob Pyrus were a very violent gang in Compton. And the rivals, one of the rivals was the Crips, of course, Southside Compton Crips, right? And there was a beef going on. There's the lobby of the MGM Grand. And one of the guys, Tremaine Lane, who's a Mob Pyru, tells him, hey, man, these guys jumped us a few months earlier. at this mall in LA, right? I think it's Lake Mall, something. I got the name in my book. And he said they stole one of my medallions. You know, Suge Knight gave them the death row medallions. That was something precious they liked. He said, he ripped one of my medallions off. He said, really? Let's go get this guy. But that's a nephew of Davis, Kiffy D. They gave him a beat down. You can see the video. They gave this guy a beat down. Suge Knight's in there. Tupac's in there. But remember, these guys are hardcore gangsters. I mean, and these guys are cut up in the moment. They give him a beat down and they leave. Well, then it doesn't sit well. Orlando, which his name is nicknamed Baby Lane, tells his uncle, hey, man, I just took a whooping. He said, what? Who did this to you? Death row, right? Let's go get these guys. So they get in the white caddy and they start going looking around. They know that he's going to head back to his club, which is called 662. Now, what does that stand for? If you're looking at a phone dial, 662 stands for mob, M-O-B. So it could be because of Mob Peru or because of their ties with the mafia or the mobs. They think I thought that name was pretty interesting. So according to him, like we're talking about Vlad, we're talking about all these shows. He even writes a book about this.
Well, hold on, is this Club 662?
662, yeah, M-O-B.
The club though, Club 662.
That was Suge's club in Vegas.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're now waiting because they're pissed, and they got all the tools they need, which means weapons, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to light that place up. But these guys are running late. So you have Suge Knight, they're in the BMW in the sedan. Suge Knight and Tupac are in the car. They're running late. So they start heading back. And Las Vegas, if you've ever been there, even in the 90s, it gets pretty congested and crazy. And they're in a dark vehicle. And it's dark at night, like I think at 10 o'clock at night. So I have the exact time I book. And they're coming back. But Tupac, you know, he likes attention. He rolls down the window of the car on the passenger side. And he starts waving his arms in the air, trying to get some girls' attention and stuff like that. And he said, and this is according to Dave, he said, man, if he wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have seen him. So they make a U-turn, come around near Flamingo off Las Vegas and pull up. And his words is that's when the fireworks started. He passes the gun back because he's the passenger side. He passes it back to or his nephew, who was the one who took the beating, right? He gives him a Glock 22, which is a 40 caliber, and he lights him up. He pretty much says he lights him up. The fireworks start. He shoots Tupac. Tupac's taking it. And he thought that Suge was also shot because some of the fragments hits Suge's head. And they looked at each other, and according to him in his interview with Vlad and others, he said, man, we used to play Pop Warner football together, man. I said, damn, that sucked that one of my guys I used to play football with, I think Suge went down. Suge would survive, but he thought that's how it is. So in essence, the Bloods and Crips rivalry, this wasn't a East Coast, West Coast rivalry. This was a Bloods Crips rivalry, which is really, if you think about it, the oldest civil war in this country's history. You have brothers against brothers. They've been fighting this war for over 50 years in the streets of Los Angeles, spread out throughout the country, and they've been going after each other there. That spilled in the streets of Las Vegas, and that was killed Tupac right there. And it would have gone unsolved, guys, if, like you said, he had the proffer. He confessed to his role. This was in the proffer where everything I said he talks about. He had the key of being a proffer. I've done a lot of these proffers. Is you have to be truthful. That's part of the condition to get immunity. You're like king for a day, right? You can say we have to make your peace. The government can't use it against you, but you have to be truthful. And he said he was truthful. He talks about this stuff, but what gets him in trouble is later he talks about outside the proffer. He brags about it, and then he writes a book about it. And then, and then on top of that, Emily, and then he moves to Henderson next to Las Vegas, and he shames the authorities to come in and arrest him. Oh my! You can't make this up.
Which they did.
Because back then, and still to this day, a lot of times back then, the police in Las Vegas was actually not in, like, Las Vegas wasn't the city. If you go to Las Vegas, you're really in Henderson. And Las Vegas police force out there was run by mobsters, and they had that direction. They had their own rules and regulations in Las Vegas that didn't apply. But if you physically move to Henderson, absolutely, he's going to mock them because it's a whole other ballgame with the police force in the Henderson part of Las Vegas.
And last year they had a search warrant last summer, and they found more evidence. And then later in October, of the date of my book, he was arrested, and they arrested him he's the last survivor of that white Cadillac. You know what they did afterwards? According to him, after they shot him up, they went back to their hotel, had some drinks, had some laughs. Nothing happened, and they went back to Compton.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
It was like another day.
Like another day. Hey, we just killed Tupac, one of the most famous hip-hop artists, and that's like, you know what? But the message was, the mistake he made was you're messing around with gangsters. You hang around with gangsters. This is what happens with gangsters. He wasn't a gangster, and he was more like a football player, promoter type thing, and he got involved in that. But these guys were hardcore. He wanted that street cred. Well, these guys are killers. They don't mess around. Just because he took a beating. Imagine that. He got embarrassed, took a beating. Oh no, we have to escalate it. Now we're going to light these guys up. And
Well, and also like too with the industry there in Las Vegas too. I think in the 1990s they had something that they called with the assassin. FBI has history. I think they called it Operation Thin Crust of 1997, where the mafia mobsters, which what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
for
That
sure.
whole thing came from. That's because their whole police force, everything doesn't have to abide by other certain rules that other normal cities do because of how it's all orchestrated there. But Operation Thin Crust, I believe, is what it's called in the 90s. The FBI had an assassin project, and to see if they can pull off specific assassins or have them get away with it.
Yeah, Vegas has had a long CV history of mobsters. You know, you think of Bugsy Siegel, Meyer Lansky. You think of the
It was created by the mob. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
It was created by the mob. Yeah.
A lot of mob money, mobsters in there. I wrote a book about that, Las Vegas Mob City, and I tracked down the history. And it was like that for many years, but a lot of it has changed of them. But it's still shocking for me, especially in law enforcement, with all the witnesses, the authorities not cooperating, and all the cameras. How could that white Cadillac just go back? It didn't like he went back to Compton and left the state. No, they went around the block, went back to the hotel, and they stayed there for the night. Had a good laugh, had some drinks, and then said, "All right, man, we took care of Tupac, and then let's off we go, and off we go." Oh, and Tupac would die not immediately; he'll die.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say right there, Ignacio. He didn't die right away. He died like 4 days later, supposedly, right?
4 or 5 days later, and his mother had to make the real tough decision, take him off the respirator, and that will be it for Tupac. Tragic life, but like I said, you know, you made your bed, now you're laying it. You know, they really shouldn't have. There's different ways to handle it, and the way Anderson took a beat down like that, you knew these guys were going to come back at him, and that's what, and these guys were ready,
But what's interesting is the guy that cremated Tupac too. He ends up retiring shortly after and vanishes. Nobody can find who cremated him, and to get more evidence or to see what exactly happened to Tupac. That's interesting to me. Like, what happened to the guy that cremated him? I think he was paid off to do that or say that he did that, and he got so much money, he vanished, and nobody can find him now.
Oh, that's interesting. I know that part. There's a lot of little, like you said, rabbit holes you can go down with this. And then, you know, you had Tupac was almost killed, like I said before, in 94 in New York City at Quad
City.
Trying to do a recording there. And who was also there? P. Diddy,
Biggie.
Biggie, and also another associate there that were involved. And he almost died there. And allegedly he leaves after being shot in the hospital to attend a hearing.
Yep.
Because he was there. So, I mean, this guy really has 9 lives. And at the end, it all expired. For short life that he had, he was involved in a lot of things, a lot of drama. And that's how he gets tied up with Death Row Records and Suge Knight. He ends up helping him eventually make bond and come up with a lot of money in return to being exclusively with them. And then that opens up, of course, the rivalry between Death Row Records and Bad Boy Records. And of course, soon after that, we talked briefly about it. It's been unsolved, the death of Biggie, right? It's been even longer now, and no one knows really. I mean, according to records, it happened similarly. Like I said, this time was L.A. Again, after hours party at night. This time it's a dark black Impala, described with a black male inside, dressed in a tuxedo with a blue bow tie, with a blue 9mm weapon. I think blue steel, maybe as a Smith, and they use it and kills him, thinking maybe was this a hit? What happened here? Why him? Wasn't maybe for P. Diddy? A lot of questions on that one.
Yeah, they're actually the bodyguard in that. Sorry to interrupt, Emily.
No, you're good.
But the bodyguard in that case came out and talked about that whole night. And, you know, he said that he actually ran into the guy literally a few minutes before that happened in the street. So I think his name is Gene Deal. And he talks about how he actually saw that guy earlier, right before it happened. and because the guy was actually walking up towards the vehicle while the vehicle was already parked before they left. So he thinks he kind of like warded him off earlier in the evening, because I think he was going to try to hit him right there at that moment. But then again, later on, I guess because he saw him there, he kind of walked off and kept walking, and then ended up doing the hit later on. So
he did the hit. And questions, what was that guy's motive? Why was he there? Right. I mean, the only common denominator that's there, a lot of people don't know that, is that Kiffy D was also at that party.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of these gangsters were still back in that party again. So, and was Suge Knight upset about something? Was he trying to take care of that with P. Diddy? I mean, like you said, there's a lot of different conspiracies, and that has been still unsolved. And he died a lot quicker than what's his name? Tupac did. So he died, I think, within a few hours after being shot.
Well, I don't know. We have the Rodney King and stuff incident going on during this time too, and I think there was an agenda pushed out, and I think that they did take some of these people and use them as projects in some studies and things, because I during this week I did find out, I saw this video for the first time ever. I want to play it. Tupac was an actor. I believe he was playing two faces. Tupac two faces, because he would present himself as one thing in public, but if you actually listen to his rap songs, it's a totally different person, and it's actually a very nice, respectful person. He had one rap song that spoke about crime and gangs and all that kind of stuff, but pretty much everything else. But look at his mannerisms, look at everything that he did and how he's talking. He's 17 years old here in this video.
Okay.
Of Tupac before and after becoming a celebrity, what artist do you think was changed the most by fame?
And I'm extra nice, you know, extra gentleman. I'm extra just like, oh, you're beautiful and you deserve the best. And she told me I was too nice. I couldn't believe it. It wouldn't work because I was too nice. That was the ultimate stab in the back. So I went through a week of just going, forget it, I'm just going to be like them. Because they seem to get the girls, and they call girls the B word.
Bitches ain't shit.
Sorry for
We
language.
don't love them hoes.
See where he changed?
Shit. We don't love them hoes, and it's like that.
So the thing is that he also, there's another interview of him that goes a little bit longer with that 17. He has,
Emily, don't forget. He was also an actor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's two faces of him. I honestly think he's alive. I really honestly do. It's a hill I will die on. And I think he was playing two roles, two parts. In that interview with him when he was 17, there's another longer interview of him, about 8-10 minutes long, of him, and you'll see his mannerism, which we have this whole underground thing going on in gangster rap, with, you know, homosexuality, which I don't know why they'd be shameful of that now. I mean, it's more accepted now than it was back then, but you know, they have this tough bad boy persona in public, but behind the scenes they're totally different people. And I do believe, and I tagged you in a post today. I asked my son, because he listens to Tupac, and so I do allow him to listen to the rap music that I grew up on. I'm sorry, that might be bad of me, and sorry, Mom, if you're listening, but I do, and I do let him listen to it. I don't let him listen to most of anything new now, but I asked him, I said, "What do you think about Tupac?" And he's like, "Oh, he's definitely alive." And I was like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "He's alive. He's living in Cuba. Just look at the last picture taken of him in the car." Yeah, his aunt lives in Cuba. His aunt escaped United States and lives in Cuba. She actually did shoot a police officer in the 70s and escaped and
Black
ran to
Panthers.
Cuba. Yeah. So, and he goes, "Just look at the last picture taken of him in the car. No keys in the ignition." And I was like, "What?" And I've seen this picture over and over again. I'm going to share my screen here. And he's right. I learned something from my son today, and I never even thought to look at it before. Hold on. And let me pull this up. Okay, can you see it? Like, here they are driving. That's the last picture. I'm going to zoom in. Look at this. There's no keys there. There's no keys.
Yeah, they didn't have that you know, technology back then. That was what, 96?
Yeah, no. Then you have to have keys then. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, and then let me just show you something else. Hold on. That's that video I just shared. Let me see. I have some pictures coming up. So this is when he got beat up. by the police, supposedly, which I think was all a big hoax, because he's went to sue because we have the Rodney King stuff going on here. He went to sue the police force of Oakland, California, and for $10 million, and it was big in the press and everything. And then when he was released from jail, this was the picture that came out. Which anyway, they settled for $42,000, but neither party, like it was like no fault is what it
Right.
came out to. So
Right.
hold on, that's another picture. But here's the picture that came out later of Tupac when he got arrested for the second time, and he has this big scar down his face. Like, this doesn't make sense to me either. There's
Mm.
that. Okay, and then years later, 2-3 years later, this picture comes out of his arrest. I have the frontal picture of that too somewhere here. Hold on. There, that's the front. Couple years later, 1993. I think his first arrest was 91 with the police stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 2 years later, this is the picture that comes out. Where did that come from?
Interesting. That's interesting there. Yeah, he was almost killed a year later in '94, and there in New York City.
And so I started looking at some of these pictures. Now look at this picture of all these boys here. Why is Tupac on the floor with his pants down?
I don't know.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
weird.
maybe that's yeah. That's I don't know. I don't know what to say.
And
Don't
then
know
look
what
at
to say.
this, holding hands. You guys are dudes. Do you hold hands like this with your guy friends?
No.
Hell no.
Like, I've
I
been
mean, I
going
like you,
down the
Ignacio,
two.
but I'm not going to be holding your hand. in
No, we're not
public,
holding
you know what I
hands.
mean?
That's for sure.
Like, I've been
do
going down the
you-
Tupac rabbit hole, and that's Jaguar Wright, man. She's
Yeah.
laying it out
Yeah.
too here lately. She's doing phenomenal, and she's
What
talking
was
about
didn't they say the same thing about P. Diddy? The same things you're saying?
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
this, and then everybody's been saying, well, Tupac's bald because of how he got beat
Mhm.
by the police and all this stuff, and that's why he shaved his head because he had bald spots. But we got Jada Pickett Smith telling us that Tupac had alopecia. And I
Oh,
looked at his head, and it looked like alopecia spots. It didn't
Hmm.
look like it was from a beatdown. So
interesting.
all of this stuff is very interesting to me, and I honestly, absolutely think that Tupac is alive.
In Cuba.
In Cuba.
I mean,
And all
he's there.
places. Yeah, that's a tough place to be in, but it's hard to keep a secret in that place. That's for
But
sure.
hold on, well, it might be hard, but I mean, how is Cuba nowadays or back during that time? Did they cooperate with America?
No, they don't cooperate.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm honestly, if his aunt lives there, he has family there,
Maybe
they
if you
don't cooperate.
Yeah.
I would go there.
Yeah. Well, he'd be safe. He wouldn't be extradited for any reason. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's for
we know
sure.
Pity. Why do I keep calling him Pity? Diddy.
P. Diddy, Sean Combs.
He ran out. He ran out on that, and
He might be
so-
going to Havana in his yacht. I think you're right. He might be trying to sneak out. If he's smart, he'll be leaving the country quickly because he's looking at a lot of time.
did on his
His
jet.
freedom is about to expire like that, and I think he's looking at his options, and he's going to have to figure out because with HSI hitting both your homes like that with a major investigation, the hammer, I'm telling you, is coming. It is coming, and between civil and the other stuff, I won't be surprised he sneaks out of his yacht and tries to disappear in some Caribbean island, or goes to Brazil or somewhere they don't extradite and tries to disappear. But it's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to throw this little tidbit in with P. Diddy because my rabbit hole with P. Diddy changed off a blind item too with him. Deal or No Deal. Remember that game, Deal or
Yeah.
No Deal, the briefcase girls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 5 briefcase girls that's missing. And then there's famous briefcase girls that we know, Meghan Markle,
Sure.
Chrissy Teigen, that one girl out of Atlanta, I can't remember her name, and one of Jay-Z's ex-mistress was a briefcase girl.
I didn't know that.
So
Mhm.
all the ties, and then you go in and you look up these names of the briefcase girls and you look them up on internet and they're all tied to P. Diddy. My theory of the banker off Deal or No Deal was P. Diddy, and they actually trafficked these women on national television as yacht girls because they were all yacht girls.
Mm.
What do you think about that, Ignacio? Do you want me to investigate with you? You need me. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. I'm kidding.
that sounds like an interesting case there. My goodness. So, Meghan Markle, I'd have a chance to occasionally deal with Samantha, her
Mhm.
sister, and that is interesting dynamics going on there between both of them, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, here it's so interesting. This is a little off topic, but the king revealed his portrait this week, and it looked like Ghostbusters too.
Oh,
The
it looked evil.
portrait. But listen, here's something interesting, and this is the truth. I looked this up. Meghan Markle was caught this week with an upside down cross. Like,
Really?
what is she? Is she wearing it as a necklace? Is she just like messing with this at this time? Or-
Mm.
I still want to know where Kate is. Where's Kate?
Oh, I don't know. I think she's they've all had some issues with cancer, right?
Well, she says she does, but she was supposed to come back for Easter, and she's never come back.
Mm.
And
And,
things.
and,
So I want to know where Kate is.
and King Charles, he's also had issues going on too. He looks like he's really bad too. So the
Yeah.
royal family
Yeah.
doesn't look too good. That's for sure.
No,
Mhm.
they don't. But that portrait definitely didn't look good.
And where do you put Prince Andrew on all this?
With Epstein and P. Diddy on a yacht.
Mhm.
And that's where Meghan Markle met Harry.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
it's all a big circle there. Epstein
It's a
hanging
big
himself.
All of them.
All these sick situations there. It's
With
unbelievable.
Harvey Weinstein and P. Diddy. Harvey's the movies. P. Diddy's the music.
Now wasn't
and
Harvey
Epstein-
acquitted? Wasn't Harvey's conviction in New York City, New York overturned now?
No, there's some other things going on with it. So
Mm.
he's paying people or
But he still
something.
has charges in California. He's serving
California,
for.
LA,
Yeah.
yeah, he still
Yeah.
spent time now. In New York one, they had some issues there, but LA, I think it looks solid what happened in California. But
Yeah.
man, but with PD, I think his situation is getting really bad. It's the end of, but like I said, a lot of these guys cut corners. They did things the wrong way. I mean, look at Suge Knight now. You should have been him running over that guy. At the end,
Oh, yeah.
that's what got him there. And he's looking, I think, like 30 years. He's not going to get out. And then he tells TMZ, "Hey, are you going to testify against Davis here?" And he goes, "No, I don't want to."
Mm-hmm.
But
What?
Ignacio, with what we know with true crime or mafia, organized crime, and things like that, most of these people, the big names and all this stuff, end up working with the FBI. And honestly, compared to their crimes, they end up walking a lot sooner. They end up doing stuff. Do you really think something big is going to happen to P. Diddy, or do you think
Yes.
because he went live on one of his social media platforms and he had a list of 150 people that he read off. He even used his youngest kid
Wow.
and read off these names. Alicia Keys was one of them, and I was devastated over Alicia Keys. But listening, like, they better come out and they better start talking, or he's going to turn them all over. Like,
What was his allegations against them?
no, this is just me. This was like 3 or 4 days after the FBI raid, maybe a week after the FBI raid. He goes live on one of his social media platforms and just starts listing these names. And he goes, "You all know what I'm talking about. You better be coming forward."
Interesting.
And
Sounds like he's trying to shake them down.
yeah, so I
Or he
think
has something
Sean
against
Diddy.
them.
I think Sean Diddy. I call him Sean Diddy. I'm sorry. I think Sean Diddy is actually working with authorities. I think he's not going to get what we all think he's going to get. And I don't think he's actually going to go to prison. I think there's going to be a lot more exposure. And
Well, I can tell you from my experience, Emily and Will, about
Mhm.
95% of people who are looking at federal charges, they cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, if you have something to say, you say it because it benefits you to get consideration for less time. If you don't say, keep your mouth zipped, and you go to trial and get convicted, you're going to get hammered.
man,
Yeah.
he's bringing down the Kardashians too. Kris Jenner has hit
Somebody needs to take those people down.
Well, she's left the country too because
Ugh.
there's videos of Kris Jenner, and
Kris
they're
Jenner too?
disgusting. Kris Jenner, she's left the country, but her boyfriend, Chris, what's his name?
I don't
Hold
know.
on, Chris. He is actually worked for the CIA.
Hear that?
Chris Kardashian boyfriend. I'm looking it up right now. His name's
You
Chris,
got a
I
chance,
think.
yeah.
Or Corey Gamble. Corey Gamble has worked for the CIA, and so you know, I don't think that they knew he worked for the CIA at the time when she first started dating him. So all this stuff's coming out. Like 2024 is the fall of celebrity music industry.
It is.
Everything's all about exposure, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though? I want to say this because I think it's kind of parallel to all this. I think Sean Diddy Combs, whatever. I think he was putting people in very precarious situations, recording them, and basically doing an Epstein type of operation where he was just gathering, gathering, just basically blackmail against people and being able to use it. So I think that's what's really going on in that situation, Emily.
It's a recurring theme that we see. People of power, of money, take advantage of other people. They use that power and they abuse that power. And it's a unfortunate recurring theme that we see over and over again. And Suge Knight was like that. You ever seen the story? There's an interesting story here since we're talking about Vlad TV and others. And when he interviewed Vanilla Ice about a few months back, and Vanilla Ice tells the story how Suge Knight made his money to do Death Row Records, and pretty much him and his security team were in his hotel room when him and his came in. This is when he's doing Ice Ice Baby. He's at his peak, and pretty much shook him down in the balcony, beat down his security team, and pretty much said, "You're going to sign over the rights to do your records, or it's going to be bad news for you." And he said, "I made the right decision because I'm alive today. If not, now you see what kind of gangster he is. He runs over people. He shoots. I mean, these guys are ruthless." He did to Vanilla Ice, and that's how he ends up getting his money, Death Row Records, to end up financing getting Tupac and others. I mean, later he gets some pretty big names in Death Row Records, right? You're right.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, they said that they dangled him from the balcony by his ankles.
Yeah. He denies that though. He denies that, but there's rumors out there that he denies it. But even if they didn't, he slapped down his security guy, and he was almost crying. They were saying he took down the guns, and these guys are all armed. I mean, what other choice he did but to sign the contract? Coercion. He shook him down, right? Yeah. But then he gets Snoop Dogg, and he gets I think 50 Cent. They have 4 out later. Drake, I think, and others. So he gets some pretty big names, but that's how he operates. It's organized crime. What that is.
Oh, it absolutely is. And just real quick too, I just wanna throw this in the mix too. By the way, what got me started on P. Diddy was many, many years ago. Remember the show Making of the Band on MTV? Aubrey O'Day came out and was talking about how bad Diddy treated those girls on Making of the Band and talked about all that stuff. She exposed Diddy way back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and nobody believed her. I believed her back then. And I went down the P. Diddy rabbit hole then with everything that was going on. And he was a very bad man, in my opinion, behind the scenes.
Of course.
And exploited women and things, but he also had this underground life too, where Will was talking about recording everybody in the rooms and all that stuff, and it's just a way to blackmail. But it also sounds like it's an FBI way to blackmail because FBI was also involved with Epstein. This is all government conspiracy, in my opinion. And the government is involved, and they use these people as informants. They use these people because what a lot of people don't know is I've gone down a rabbit hole with who funds the prisons in the United States. And most of the funding for these prisons, record labels, record companies. And honestly, let me tell you this, Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James even owns private prisons in Africa, Australia, and everything. They're trafficking through the prison systems as well. And these record labels are absolutely in that. And I think it's all an agenda to push a certain I don't know, black, what I don't know, Will, what would you call that? Because you've done a show
I did a whole episode on that, and basically there was a one of the guys from Bone Thugs and Harmony basically came out and said that he was in a meeting where they basically brought in like pretty much all of the elite of the record labels and said, "Hey, listen, we're going to get into a new venture, and it's going to be the prison system. And what you're going to do is continue to push out this type of music because it's going to push more and more people through the prison system, and you guys are going to make much more money." Basically, how it works.
And I think the major one is Core Civic, aka I think it's the Corrections Corporation of America. but it's also owned by BlackRock and Vanguard that owns everything else. But you can go look up Core Civic and actually look up celebrities and record labels that
Record
invest
labels.
into that. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, well, I know the ones I've been to. I mean, I've been to ones contract run too, and I've been to ones that run by the county or the one federally or the state, what have you. But of course, the government puts a lot of money into these facilities. But that's an interesting take. I never really heard about that. So interesting to look into. But at the end here, all these guys here, what's the lesson learned? They all went down, right? They're all life of crime. I tell people does not pay. That they try to pump this lifestyle, but they end up being thugs and criminals acting like it. Well, one way or another, either get killed, right? You're gonna do time, like Suge and other ones, or other things happen to you. And now legal action is taking over for P. Diddy. And I still think, I know you think he won't be, but I think he's going to HSI. And by the way, it's HSI running the case, Homeland Security Investigator under DHS. It's going to be some, I think, a serious hit for him. But Bloods, Crips, and the Murder Tupac Show, good read, interesting read. If you don't know much about it, I think it's good to look into it. And I've got almost 80 books out there on Amazon.
Busy man.
Busy man. And I got 2 on Audible, working on a 3rd one, ATF
That's
Undercover.
great.
You can see the poster behind me. It's on Audible too. And so is The Most Dangerous Crime Syndicates of Our Time, almost an 8-hour listen. I think it's pretty cool. And I touch base on the Bloods, Crips, gangs, cartels, mafia, 1%ers, prison gangs, everything else in between. So I think it gives you a nice feel for what's going on in the U.S. and around the world with organized crime. I think it's a good read there too. And I'm also working on as a community activist here, trying to stop Buc-ee's.
The evil Buc-ee's.
I want to talk about Buc-ee's in a second. I do have a final question to ask you though. Before we
Okay, sure.
Because we got plenty of time. We still got 10, 12 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
So real quick though, Ignacio, from you being on previous shows, please everybody, we have a podcast on all podcast platforms. You can go just look him up and everything over there in things. And we've had you on mostly because of like cartels and things in your work in Miami and possibly border patrol and everything with ATF. But I want to really know because I'm interested in Tupac because Tupac happened when I was a sophomore in high school, and Tupac was like the king. He was the Black Messiah, is what I call it. We love Tupac, and his rap wasn't as bad as what we know now or anything, and stuff. But what made you interested in diving into this topic of Tupac and the Bloods and the Crips and things like that?
Well, I'm into organized crime, but also I was fascinated why it took so long. I mean, I guess the investigator in me found it interesting. 26 years later, I wrote the book once the arrests were made, and I started doing my research here on Davis, and I said, I got to start doing some digging here. What took so long? What happened here? Then I started watching the videos, and I said, I can't believe he's talking like this.
Well,
you do your proper, you stay quiet. He's still a free man. He's going to spend the rest of his life. They're not going to look at the death penalty, but he will never see the light of day again. Davis will be, I'm predicting, will be convicted based on the evidence, and he'll never see the light of day again. He's 6. Now, he does have health issues, and he does have, they're saying he has a issue with his colon and other issues. So maybe he'll die in a few years. Who knows? But I found that fascinating. I really, when I was in 97, when it happened, 96, I was with Customs already working. So I was already busy camper, but I kind of watched it from the side there. I really wasn't into hip hop music. I was more of a lithium 90s grunge type, right? That was what I really enjoyed listening to. And I still listen to this day a lot of Lithium on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, all those guys.
I love all of that was where I really, and that was my college and Customs years. Before that, 80s, 80s was different. 80s was more rock and a little bit different. But then I really enjoyed that. But I was never into that. But I was fascinated by the twists and turns. How when it happened, it wasn't like it happened in a small little town. It happened in Las Vegas on the strip with all the cameras.
It's all mafia. It's all mafia there. And I have one follow-up question, and Will has any questions, and we'll go into Buc-ee's then. But so Do you think that this came about, this possible charges and all this stuff? They've proclaimed the killer of Tupac. I believe Tupac's alive, but because they knew the P Diddy stuff was going to come out, and so they didn't want to trap P Diddy in the possible shooting of Tupac, so they decided to make this storyline and do an arrest on Tupac before P Diddy broke.
Yeah, no, if anything, maybe he's involved in the, and again, it all depends on what's going on with Biggie Smalls, right? And Christopher Wallace out there with possible issues going on. Who was really the target? Suge Knight. A lot of people think that there was more issues with Suge. Like I said, these guys are not really good people, right? Look how they act and treat each other. They're for money, for greed. They have no moral compass. None of these guys have a moral compass. And I think that the big strategy there with Tupac wanting to have in this culture, getting sucked up and being used all different ways. That to me is the biggest tragedy, is how Tupac's life got snuffed out. And so did Biggie also. He seemed like everything else. These guys really liked each other. A lot of people don't know, after he was shot at Quad Studio in New York City, in Times Square, he came and saw him in the hospital. And these guys really, they kind of liked it. It was something that was invented and created. But I think then it went bad later between Suge and P. Diddy, and it got nasty. And that's where we're at now. And all these guys are locked up and put away, or going to, and or dead already. Remember, the only one left in that car is Davis. Everybody else is dead already. Orlando Anderson, who shot Tupac and allegedly killed him, he died in a gangster shootout a year and a half later in Compton over drug dispute. So this is how all these guys go.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
This is how all these guys go. So if you're looking at that kind of culture, it's not worth it. It's not worth doing it. Stay out of it. It's only gets you one place, two places: an early grave or incarceration. And nobody wants that.
Yeah. To add fuel to Emily's a conspiracy theory about Tupac still being alive. Post-mortem, he came out with the album called Don Illuminati, The 7-Day Theory.
The Machiavellian.
And it's all about Machiavelli and how he faked his death. And so just to add a little bit more fuel to that fire.
Yeah, that would definitely add to it. People will enjoy that for sure.
Yeah, just wanted to make a little note of that.
Yeah, and let me know what do you want to know about Buc-ee's. I'll give you a quick rundown.
Let's talk about Buc-ee's.
Let's about Buc-ee's right now.
I'll give you a quick rundown. I'm being here in Stafford, Virginia. People who don't know, what is a Buc-ee's, man? I have people tell me, what is Buc-ee's? If you're not from Texas, or if you're not from the Southeast, Florida also is becoming a big home for Buc-ee's. DeSantis is giving the welcome sign to Buc-ee's. Now I hear they want to build one in not far from you, man. Right there in Port St. Lucie. I mean, Fort Pierce. Unbelievable. It's if you don't know what Buc-ee's is, it's a mega stack gas station. There they are, over 120 pumps, a Walmart-sized convenience store, 800 some parking spot. It's insane. Now imagine putting that next to a very nice residential community. That's where we live. We are fine. It's only going to bring what we're going to think: high crime, more traffic, pollution. You're going to have environmental issues. It's just a host of a nightmare situation. You know, I'm not against Buc-ee's. Me personally, I've been to Buc-ee's a few times in St. Augustine and also in Daytona. I think it's overcrowded, too crazy, overpriced. I just didn't like it. They do have clean toilets, the bathrooms, that's for sure. Big ones too at that. but it's not a good fit for where we're at in Stafford County. That's for sure.
I have a question about Buc-ee's for them being this big. Electric cars are coming out. Are they going to be transforming this stuff to electric plug-ins? Like electric stations?
I know they have some stations to plug in, but the big pump, I never see that happen in this country, to be honest with you. They want to transform, they want to do this, but guess what? Trump will probably be president. My prediction in this election here. Biden, I don't think he's bumbling, and everything else going on. So I don't think that's going to happen here. But hopefully we become more energy independent, and the fuel comes from us, because I hate to get the oil from the Saudis, Nigerians, and the Russians and other corrupt regimes, and keep it in-house with the Canadians. Keep it with the Canadians and us, and we'll cut out the rest here. And make the cars, here's an answer. Make cars more fuel efficient. How about that? Make them extremely, you can do that. Make them more fuel efficient.
And Honda, Ignacio. You can't go wrong with a Honda.
My prediction will be hydrogen in the future. It's going to be all hydrogen based.
There we go. So I started the petition, a huge petition that you can find on change.org. Stop Buc-ee's from coming to Stafford, Virginia. You can look it up. Over 1,000 something. We've had a lot of local media. I even talked in front of our board of supervisors in Stafford County. We made our pitch, made our voices be heard, and the national media has picked it up, and Yahoo News has picked up the story. Residents standing up to Buc-ee's in Stafford is getting traction, and the world's watching and is picking up and say, can we stop this? It's like the ultimate David versus Goliath. Can we stop this behemoth from coming in and destroying our lifetime and destroying the community that we love so much?
Absolutely.
I have a question about Buc-ee's. Is there a restaurant chain associated with them, like Subway?
There's a huge. If you go, you ever been to Buc-ee's?
No, I've never been to Buc-ee's.
Oh
I
my
have
gosh!
once before, yeah.
Oh my God! You go in there, you have all these different stations that will make you food in there. Also, brisket on the board, and they're doing the brisket there.
Brisket.
Yeah, if you like brisket, or you got pulled pork, or you like egg sandwiches in the morning, or they got a selection of lots of food. Look at how big that is. It's like a Walmart. So imagine that you go in there. Do you want that in your backyard, Emily, or do you want that in your backyard, Will? Would you want?
I mean, I live in a small community in Kentucky. Like Walmart, we have Walmarts we have 2 Walmarts, one in the county and one in the city, and I'm good with that. And I like our small community gas stations that offer what they have and like have maybe 6 little places for gas. But
there's nothing like this. There's nothing like this.
I don't see a restaurant name around this building particularly, so I was just wondering.
They make their own food inside. They make their own food inside. There's a lot of food stations, and you can pick in there, and people love that. And they have a big selection of different coffees and drinks and slushies and all that you can imagine. They sell the Beaver merchandise. The Beaver is everywhere. I mean, that's the guy's name.
Beaver?
The Beaver. Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Bucky Beaver.
Leave it to Beaver, but not this Beaver. That's for sure.
Right. not in this community. Exactly. That's awesome.
Remember from the 50s, the old show? That's not my time either, but I saw Nick at Night in syndication. Leave it to Beaver. No, not this Beaver. It's grotesque. It is grotesque, Emily.
That'd be an eyesore in any community like that, small community like that. It's just ridiculous. Really.
His name is Bucky Beaver?
His name is Beaver.
Or the Beaver. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bucky the Beaver. Yeah, that's what we got there.
She's having a heart attack over there. The Bucky Beaver over there. You all right over there, Emily?
I'm okay.
So, if you guys go,
I thought the guy's real name was Bucky Beaver. Like, what parent would name kid Bucky Beaver?
The Bucky the Beaver. Oh my God, unbelievable! And this guy is already worth about $3 billion. $3 billion.
Wow.
That's a rabbit hole. We gotta find out. We gotta find out about him. We gotta find out about his family.
Follow the money.
And all the money to his investment. What he contributed to the fund for Governor Youngkin in Virginia. We already have 2 Bucky's in Virginia. They want to put. Imagine that ties from a Texas billionaire with a governor in Virginia. 2 Bucky's already. He wants to put one in Stafford in Nova, which is Northern Virginia. This is to them the crown jewel because this is their biggest push north they have yet. And they will love to be able to be established going to the Northeast. If they can shove it down our throat, man, they're going to shove this down in other big cities around the country. And nobody wants to have this in their backyard. That's for sure.
I know. Again, Ignacio, where can everybody go to, help, against this? Is there any kind of like petition online?
Yeah, please check again. I can send it to you guys. You can put it on here later, but it's change.org. Change.org, and you can look it up. My name, Ignacio Esteban, or look it up under Stop Buc-ee's from Coming to Stafford, Virginia. Please sign it if you guys see it. Do you see it now, Emily, there or no?
What is it?
Change.org.
Oh, I don't have it pulled up. I'm sorry. I can look it up.
And then you can see, and you'll see the Buc-ee with a sign that says "No Buc-ee's."
No Buc-ee's.
Get the buck out of our country or out of our city.
The buck, you know what motto is here?
Stops here.
The buck stops here. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. What I would absolutely do.
Awesome.
Real quick, Ignacio, it's been an hour, so people, I have your Amazon.com here and everything going on the screen for people that's viewing via Rumble, YouTube, and Instagram. But for people listening via podcast, can you tell everybody where they can find you or buy your books, and we'll let you go?
Yeah. I'm exclusively on Amazon and Audible. If you like audiobooks, go to Audible. You can see that there. Ignacio Esteban, and like I said, ATF Undercover, the most dangerous crime scene of our time. A lot of books, 80 books on Amazon. Type in my name. You can see it from true crime, law enforcement, to fiction, nonfiction, a host of different things that you like. Politics. I do a lot of politics in here also. And I'm also doing a lot of columns too. I've been writing a lot. And a lot of my stuff is getting started picking up also. So I'm doing some of that also. And I finished a few screenplays. I'm hoping to make it into a TV series. I'm having a lot of fun in my retirement. I retired 2.5 years ago. I never thought I'd be doing all this and meeting all you wonderful people around, doing all these podcasts and shows. I've done over now, I think 300 shows nationally, internationally.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm going to keep on trucking with this. And I also have shout out to my PR firm, Transmedia Group out there. They've been promoting me also with Tom Madden. He's the former vice president of NBC, founder of Transmedia. Has been great. Been talking to him. And a quick little story here. I've been involved a little bit with Lamar Burks. Appears a man that could have been wrongfully convicted of a homicide out of Houston back in 2000. Possible crooked DEA agent involved. Chad Scott and his crew out there, and a lot of things. We had a show with William Steele. We know William here. Him and I do a weekly show together, and we had the former United States Attorney from the Eastern District of Louisiana, Peter, on there. And he really gave his view why he thought also there's a lot of discrepancy here, and the man should get a shot of a new trial because a lot of witnesses were coerced to testify against him, Lamar Burks, and he feels like the actual witness who put him away was the actual shooter, Whitaker. So he's been doing 25 years, and you hate to see an innocent man and get involved in that. So if you want to do a story on that, Lamar Burks, check him out. An innocent man, possibly done 25 years for a murder he did not commit in Houston. Unbelievable story. So I'm involved in a lot of things there, if you ask me. That's one of many other things I've been involved in. So a lot of things going on. I've really enjoyed this ride so far. And anytime you guys want me back on, I'll be more happy to talk about not just my books, but I got a lot of things else to talk about with you guys.
Oh, absolutely. We love you and everybody he's been on before. Please, please, please go and look up. We're on all podcast platforms. Look us up with Ignacio. We've talked about all kinds of different things. Is this your third time on the show? I think it is, isn't it?
Fourth time.
Third or fourth? Yeah. You've been on a lot. We appreciate you and all the hard work you do.
And I did one with Will also on Dark Fringe Radio.
Dark Fringe Radio.
Check it out. And we've done 2 with Will and then 2 with the other 2 co-hosts you had.
That's right.
I know. I went through a co-host bad season until Will came back. Will was my original co-host.
Will, I can see Will is your anchor. Will is your anchor.
He is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I started originally with Emily, and then, I had to take off that time because my son was going in soccer at that time. And so the schedule wasn't working out, but a lot of craziness, but I'm glad to be back.
I appreciate Will so much and everything that he does too. And he works hard too with Dark Fringe Radio. And he doesn't go live like I do. He really works hard and edits and all that stuff. And if you know anything about editing, it's tough. That's why I used to just record and stuff, but I just do not have time to do the editing.
It's a labor of love.
It is. It is. Maybe one of these days when my son's 18 and he's off to college or something, I will do pre-recording and then release then, but I just cannot do it. And Will doing it is absolutely mind-blowing to me. He does a really great job, and Dark Fringe Radio is phenomenal. So
I'm also looking down the road. People want me to do my own private show too. I mean, I'm doing with Will. I wouldn't mind finding a producer to help me out. That anybody watching and be interesting, let me know. And
Will does fantastic.
Huh?
Yeah.
Will's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. Be more than happy. Absolutely, and honored.
Absolutely. I think I have a lot of content and a lot of interesting things to talk about and involved in a lot of things. So it makes for interesting. And I've been doing a lot of shows, and I know pretty much know where to talk about certain things that I think interests people a lot. And then my background adds a little more flavor to it.
Always an interesting guest, Ignacio.
Thank you, man. Thank you guys.
You are. We appreciate you so much. We're going to let you go and we'll close out the show. But thank you. Obviously, you're going to be back on in the future. We'll see you next time, Ignacio. Have a great weekend. All right.
Take care, guys. Be safe. All right. Take care. Thank you.
There we go. Ignacio Esteban and Tupac. So you agree that Tupac's alive? You think Tupac's alive? What listen, you can weigh it in percentage-wise.
I can't. You know what? If I was going to make a way to get away from everything, that's the way to do it.
I mean, I think so too. I think so too.
Absolutely. I mean,
as a mother,
maybe there's just so much at that time. So much was going on at that time. maybe that's just the way to get out and just get away. You just stop.
Well, I'm
Enough, you
sure
know?
I think his mother probably got paid off, and he's going to Cuba with his mother's sister and stuff,
Mhm.
so, honestly,
Also,
with Black go ahead.
another thing too, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but they said that one of his lungs was going to be completely incapacitated, so that he wouldn't be able to perform anymore and anything, supposedly, if he was going to stay alive, supposedly.
Oh, that's
So that
interesting
may
to
have happened.
say that. So, it's
Yeah,
like, even if he stayed alive, he wouldn't be able to come back and perform, so that's
correct.
just a fake way of
Hmm.
saying to disappear somebody. Does that make sense?
Correct.
You
Correct.
know, I
Yeah.
swear I think he's alive. It's a hill I will die on. Him and Michael
That's good.
Jackson. I think Michael Jackson's alive.
I find it so interesting because I look at back when I was growing up, and I remember like the early '80s and the mid '80s. Everybody, oh, Elvis is still alive. Elvis is still alive. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
Elvis is still alive, and it was so crazy because like I remember as a kid growing up all my life, it was just like that was the thing. And then later on, Tupac, and then people saying he was alive. So it was a very interesting parallel between the two.
Well, you
Different generations, different kind of music, but same kind of thing.
and also you had a show on Dark Fringe Radio where you talk about cloning. And we
Oh
don't
yeah.
understand cloning so much, but these people that make
Hmm.
millions and millions and billions of dollars a year, they have that money to be able to do
Hmm.
something like that.
Oh
Or
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
body doubles, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
So
I forget what singer said it that she said, "Oh, she's like, oh yeah, I have like three clones, and they
Madonna?
do certain." I don't know which one who said that. I can't remember off the top of my head. She was a black singer, I believe. I just can't remember the top of my who it was. But she's like, "Yeah, I have three clones. They do all different things for me." I'm
Wow.
like, "Oh, that's
That's
interesting."
another rabbit hole, everybody, if you're listening,
Hmm.
on or
Hmm.
watching. But we appreciate everybody. Please, please, please go to YouTube or Rumble, What the Frick Live, if you want to watch this live via radio. But go over and follow us and subscribe on all podcast platforms. Next week, to end, we do have a break the last week of May because that's my son's last week of school. I have him and everything. There's a lot of stuff going on that week. So
Hmm.
we're not going to have a show for the last week of May, but next week we have Sadie's crime scene cleanup. She's
Oh,
also been featured on A&E's hit series Dirty Rotten Cleaners.
oh,
So Sadie's going to be on next week. We're going to be talking about true crime and
mm,
some of her most disturbing crime scenes that
mm,
her and her crew have cleaned up. And
oh.
I know.
You know, one thing
You know
I heard. One thing I
what?
heard real quick. I want to just mention.
Yeah.
They say that if you die, that if you have cats in your house, like within like 2 to 3 hours, the cats start eating you.
Yeah, that's why I got dogs because dogs
Oh,
wait at least 2 or 3 days.
yeah, and they said especially, and they said, and weirdly enough, Labradors don't. They will not eat their owners. Oddly enough, they
Labradors at
said
all?
no,
They
they won't. They said
well,
they've
maybe
had situations where they had Labradors and they will not eat the owner.
well,
But
maybe
yes,
next ti
the
maybe
cats will
next
definitely get you in the 2 3 hours.
absolutely, they have no
Oh
conscience. Cats have
no,
no they are evil. Go on Cat Talk on TikTok. Like,
oh
there's not a very good story, I don't think, on
no,
cat but I love
no.
cats too. I'm an animal lover. But dogs, yeah, that's why a good reason to have a dog. They won't eat you until about 2 or 3 days later after you die if
Mhm.
nobody's found you. But
Yeah, that's true.
we'll thank you so much
Thank you.
for being part of What the Frick Live. I appreciate you very much. You know that. But
No,
next
of
week,
course. Thank you.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sadie's crime scene cleanup. We may be live on
Mm,
Facebook with my fake account. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
we'll
thank you
figure it out.
everybody for tuning in. Please subscribe to YouTube and Rumble right now if you want to watch the show live video. We thank you everybody and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
All right.